Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Say the invocation.
What's that? Yeah, we don't have that thing.
I know you don't.
All right, Larry Creminen,
I'm here, I think.
William Green.
Here.
Ray Clanton.
Here.
Pam Strader, Rex Miller.
Yeah, I have my boarding pass.
Yay. All right. Consent agenda. Has everybody read over the notes from May 22nd?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Regarding the approval of the minutes from May 22nd, Planning and Zoning Board, do we have any revisions?
No.
No.
If there is no proposed changes, is there a motion for action to approve the minutes? That would be Larry. Do we have a second?
Second.
Great. The motion has been made and seconded. All in favor? That would be a 5-0. Okay. So we put stuff in a workshop today, because we needed to have some general conversations about some things. And we didn't have enough time to put all the official notices out. So there's a couple of things that we're gonna talk in small micro conversation. And then if we all kind of agree in this workshop that those are fine, then we're going to suggest that Troy take that information and run it straight to city council without a recommendation from us. And that's just some small changes to the current sign ordinance that is in publication right now. Then we've got the larger conversation about the sign ordinance that we have been looking at and addressing and adjusting and trying to get wrapped up, that we will talk through and try to get that to a point over the next 3 weeks that we can have a document out to everybody so that we can vote it through at our next meeting. And then we need to talk about schedule of uses and how we can attract unique and different businesses to parts of our area without having the exact same type of business repeatedly in a short distance. So if anybody has any concerns about how we want to approach these conversations, then I'm happy to listen. But if not, then the document that was just handed out to us, these are changes that are being recommended by city staff to the currently published sign ordinance. And the key things are around some of the temporary signs. As you guys all know, and I'm not trying to pick on businesses in general, but I moved here a little over 5 years ago, and the banner that has been Shoe Fly's sign has been here at least 5 years.
Longer. Yeah.
I'm sure it's been longer. We would like to consider that a temporary sign and not a permanent sign, and put a time limit, which we currently have as
90 days.
It's 12 months currently.
12 months. So that one's been up for 5 years. But we want to bring that down to a 30-day period once a quarter. The idea being that if somebody's putting up a temporary sign, it may be about a sale, it may be about a special event, but it shouldn't be your business sign.
Agreed. Yeah.
And so the idea of taking these temporary signs and limiting them in a much more constructive way, but allowing them to be used multiple times in a year is what is being asked for. Does anybody see a problem
No.
with that change?
Perfect sense.
No.
Larry?
Nope.
Then, all right, so we're gonna say that the temporary sign moving to a 30 consecutive day period every 90 days should override the current ordinance numbers. We also currently don't require temporary signs to have any type of approval or permitting. And for things in we're gonna have to define downtown district because we don't have that
I
defined.
know, it's on my,
Are you
Should I have to
saying
go
the
through
square? Are you saying the square? Are you saying the B3, or are you thinking the historic overlay? Or a newly defined downtown district?
yeah, I mean, honestly, it should be a newly defined district.
I think that should go to, here to
I
get
think
that
so.
definition, because the downtown district would be a separate overlay from the historic district,
Correct.
and so.
But in
it's much
general,
broader.
what we're thinking of the downtown district based on conversations you and I have had is everything from Whiskey Woods. I actually say across the river and pick up the strip center where the
200.
pharmacy is and all of that is part of the downtown district, or no?
I don't know, that's a tough one,
Crossing the river with it?
yeah.
Why do you think that?
You know, I would, cause when people think about it, they think of the square. Or they
Okay.
think of, you know, when you come down the hill, or, we have a lot of natural landmarks that kind of separate it. You know, you come down Live Oak, or Vernon, and then, you know, so that's kind of defined as once you get down the hill. You come around the corner on Bernard, right? And then you pick up a business right there at Shoe Fly. So I think that's kind of a artificial boundary. And then I think going west seems to be right at Hereford. You know, you've got River House that ends there,
Yeah.
and then
You got the community center?
residential.
Okay, so we're thinking Hereford to,
Would you not say that you wanna go all the way to Storybook?
I think you meant
I
Storybook.
think he meant
That's what I meant.
Storybook.
He meant
did. He
Storybook,
said
but he
Shoe
said
Fly, he
Shoe
meant
Fly.
Storybook.
So like I drove it, and what I came up was like Live Oak and Mustang,
Yes.
Grace and Bernard, Grace and Elm. Now, again, the purpose is also, because as part of this conversation is gonna be a discussion about Airbnbs, right?
Right,
So, just consider that when I read these off. Grace and Elm, Mary Lynn and Bernard, Stadium and Walker, Vine and Pecan, Vine and Hereford, Pecan and Grace.
Stadium and Walker.
Yeah,
Are you
there's,
putting that
and it
as a
takes,
district? Yeah,
yeah, it takes a little bit more residential than what you would think, but
right,
when you think about an area, like let's say you were gonna restrict Airbnbs to this newly formed district,
okay,
then kind of pick up some residential, but not an entire residential neighborhood. Except for maybe all of Grace Street.
okay, hang on, so I'm thinking it's Hereford, okay, up to. Oh crap, what's
Do you want
behind
me to
Vernon?
map that? Do you want me to get a map made up from GIS?
Possibly.
Because I think I understand why you're grabbing the residential, and once again, those residential districts in that area right there around Mission and stuff. We had issues where people did not want those Airbnbs there. and it
It's
got turned
fine.
down.
Fine,
Right.
It's fine,
Where, that was
But when you,
Yeah.
but you wanna be able to have the business on both sides of that street, unlike the
right, so,
historic district.
but you
only
could
is
do
inside.
Hereford. You could just as easily just make it to Hereford.
well, no, but I'm saying,
That's
so Hereford is one boundary.
Yeah.
Okay, then we come all the way down and we pick up.
Grace.
Well, I actually think you gotta use the river as the boundary.
Okay, I would think so too.
As the bottom boundary is you
Yeah.
use the river. And then the boundary going over to Storybook That's really, I mean, it's a hard one because it's, you take, Live Oak would cut through right there. You get Comanche Cottage, then you get the community center. So would you go all the way down to Shepherd? Shepherd leads you up to the fire station.
No.
You'd cut at the corner right where Storybook is. Okay,
Yeah, so it would be
Kind
both
of a
sides of
natural
Mustang,
boundary.
because, yeah, the storybook is on the other side of, outside of, like, when we did the historic district, it was only inside that boundary. This would include both sides of the street rather than the center of
Right.
the street.
okay, so then when
'Cause
you're
you
coming
get 'em-
over,
you encapsulate them.
when you're coming up Hereford to get past Vine, you go to Ross Street, then Walker. That wouldn't be in the downtown district, that would be a different district.
Fine,
You know, you can put part of a residential district in there
I don't
because
know.
of future
Well, that's
planning. A
all,
future planning, in other words, it could change to,
I understand
Yeah,
that,
it's
but
not that far off of Bernard, but it does kind of go, when you're going north, it's kind of a funky road, right?
well, Walker goes down
You
and
get to
around,
Stadium Drive and I don't know my streets.
well, you go
as well.
Nancy.
well, Walker's gonna turn.
So Walker turns to Nancy, which then you cut over to Stadium.
Yeah.
And you wanna put that in the downtown district?
There's a nice residential house right there in the corner.
Well, I
Yeah,
just
I
don't
would
know.
say
all of Walker, Rose and Walker are all residential.
Yeah,
it's all residential.
Yeah.
I just don't know that that would need to be in the downtown district.
And I'm okay at Hereford, that's fine,
Hereford to Vine. Vine's what Whiskey
Correct.
Woods is on.
yes.
Cause everything north of that, going back to 67, well, whatever direction it is, I say
Oh,
north, it's not north, it's all residential.
And that's fine.
Okay,
If you come
Yeah,
up Cedar and there's
That
residential.
is the easiest
right,
thing to remember. right?
yeah.
Right. But it
And that
kinda
picks
uses
up the police
downtown.
station, the
Mhm.
police office, that picks up the church. It picks up Bernard Street Cottages, it picks up all of that. It picks up Glen Rose Automotive, it picks up the Lane Building, so all that goes into the downtown
Yep.
district.
That makes sense.
Downtown business district. right?
Yeah, that makes total sense to
Yeah.
me.
And that opens up other opportunities for us, once we define a downtown business district.
Right,
And it can always be expanded later dates, because, you know, there's a possibility somebody might come in and buy up some of those residentials to turn them into business.
well, I'm not saying, but for now, that's,
Yeah.
that definition is the one that's the most logical at this point.
It is.
Do you want me to?
I mean, I could
Downtown.
argue that it goes further down Bernard Street.
Which one? East?
Yeah, going towards the Glen Lakes. On one side of the river, you have a bunch of residential houses, but on the other side of the river, you actually have business-like things.
Yeah, I just don't think they're in the downtown district, though,
Okay,
you know?
Maybe more outlying.
no, I just, if we could argue Walker goes into the downtown district, I could argue the rest of Bernard goes into it, so. I'm just looking at it from that perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, I say we go Storybook to Vine, Hereford to the river. And that becomes,
So what do you do with with Bernard Mills?
that doesn't need to be in the downtown
No.
Okay.
district.
All right.
I mean, you've got, okay, so again, we argue this way. Okay, so you've got one residential home.
Right.
Then you technically have a residential home, but it's a nursery and has commercial
Right.
zoning privileges. Then you hit Bernard's Mill. Then you hit
Senior center.
the independent apartments. Then you hit open land that we would want to be business district D.
Yep.
Then you hit a couple of houses, then you hit the RV camping place across from the school, you hit the ballpark. Then you come around and you've got all the RV parks past the school. I mean, that has more development to
And
business.
those are short-term rentals, those little cottages next to
Yeah.
the RV park that are elevated, they have their floodplain certificate. Now, I will tell you that along Tiffany.
They're not short-term rentals, they're rentals.
They're full-time rentals. I
Uh-huh.
thought she told me it was short-term.
She doesn't have an SUP for doing short-term rentals in there.
I think she might have had those up before we did SUPs for short-term. I've been here a while. Been in there
She's
since-
had- No, we've done SUPs for shorterm rental from the day short-term rentals were being allowed in the town.
I think Ann said she wanted the town rezoned multifamily.
I have no idea what Ann would be
I'm
thinking.
just kidding.
Yeah, don't be starting no doo-doo here, bud.
Those are long-term rental homes. They aren't
They
short-term.
might-
They may have a short-term in there somewhere, but those are long-term rental
I
homes.
just was
Because I know
saying that.
people who live there.
Well, on Tiffany Way now, I'm working with several people right now, including an engineer that's doing a flood study for that, so that they can develop residential there. Right now, the plan for the study will all be elevated, just like Mr. Rushing's house is,
Right,
but they'll be large houses, not small. They're gonna combine lots. That is still in the works, depending on what the flood study says. It has to be zero rise.
yeah,
There is already a commitment to buy from a developer out of Irving that, he's just a small guy. But also there's another local, builder that is interested in 2 of those lots. It would reduce those lots from the numbers there down to about 6
okay,
total.
you're taking me off topic.
Yes, but that is in that district.
You're
That
taking
is-
me
Not
off
on the
topic.
agenda, sir.
Okay.
Neither was this.
So I think from the standpoint for the for now, we'll use Hereford as the boundary with the understanding that we may need to look at bringing the downtown district further to the school area if and when Rivercrest starts developing. Yes, no?
I like the way you're thinking. Yeah,
I mean, I'm willing to say, let's go ahead and put it in so that we pick up Rivercrest now before anybody actually does anything with it.
I actually think it may be advantageous to leave them,
Okay. Okay,
but I definitely think that's a
okay,
consideration in the future.
all right, so we will put that definition onto for a vote in our meeting next month.
Okay.
You can't take that definition to city council without us.
That's land use.
That's land use. All right, but what we're saying is in that zone, that any type of temporary signage would need to come before, city, and did I see that you were looking for a $10 fee? No, that's just grand opening. Temporary signs, no fee. They have to get a permit, but no fee.
Correct.
Correct? Okay.
Says it, if I'm reading, no, that's grand opening, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I did the same thing, so, okay. That goes that way. Window signs require a permit. No fee required, but if the downtown district needs approval. Okay, so window signs, I just make sure I understand what you're thinking. Are you thinking hot mess? Or are you thinking open signs?
Not trying to.
Or are you thinking,
Target any one business.
no, I'm
but-
not, but I'm trying, I mean, are we talking about I'm trying to think, I think LT&K has some window signs, I think MJ's has some window signs,
And I think in those type situations.
where it's like a, yeah,
Rubber stamp,
so I think
but I think when it becomes a mural,
so I think that there is, and this is where I was gonna go, a temporary window sign that's being hung inside is one thing. If it's like an 8x11 thing
right,
versus a sign that has become permanent that is taking up the entire window, which already violates our sign policies.
I would think so.
It does. Because they're only allowed X percentage of window being blocked and they're over their limit when I did my math, but that requires code enforcement officers.
Well, when I commented on that, I was told the church next to it also violates that same thing.
The church next to it is not it is because they keep theirs low, you still have visibility out. Theirs they don't. But I'm not getting into the code enforcement stuff, that's a different problem for another day. So if it was do you still want them to come down if they're just hanging an 8x11 something cardboard
No,
Paper.
but, you know, as we've seen, an inch becomes
a mile?
2 miles.
So,
I think if it's permanently attached to the window itself,
it needs, I
Yeah.
agree.
you know
If
what I
it's
mean?
just a piece of tape,
Yeah, exactly.
what do you guys
If
think?
it's something about the Glen Rose football game coming up,
Right,
taped to the thing, you know,
that's kind of, so an 8x11 piece of paper or a small poster about an event,
correct.
we don't need a sign,
Yeah.
okay. So like an 8x10 to, most of those are 11x14, event notice. No approval. Not permanently.
I think your permanently fixed window signs like the decals and stuff, that
Fixed.
falls underneath the current sign ordinance. So, because it's a permanent sign,
Right,
yeah, so I think we can play that way, that when we're doing temporary signs, we need to restrict that
yeah,
downtown.
yeah, but
They
again,
do it,
you know,
Burger King does it all the time, all them do it. That's
the July 4th parade poster, we don't
Yes.
want them to have to come in
Correct.
here and have that
Correct.
done. But if they're putting in a sign that's talking about their hours, or they're putting something electric in, a neon sign that they're hanging from the inside of the building in their window, that should have.
Yeah.
Okay,
It absolutely has to, especially because there's transformers involved, so I need to look at it on the electrical side. They like to hide those transformers above the ceiling. They have to be exposed.
okay, so I was using that as an example, not as.
That already gets looked at.
That
Okay,
is a rabbit trail.
Yeah, that
Okay.
always gets looked at.
all right, okay, so I think we've got that figured out. Okay, signs in the downtown district, template is a 3x6 aluminum on facade. I know this is the signs that you're looking to place, right?
Do they need to be aluminum or can they be steel?
Well, they'd be,
I'm just saying they're restricted.
That'd be really heavy.
yeah, that's a
Would be
shield, that's called a shield.
Yeah.
Now, if we have riot police, we might need those, but
Put that over my window.
there you go.
So I don't know if everybody here has followed the conversation about these signs the city would like to provide businesses as a incentive. Troy, do you want to kind of just very, very quickly
Yeah.
bring them up
I
to
mean,
speed?
the whole idea is once again, you know, what we have going on in the square is 10, 11 businesses that are currently open don't have any kind of signage. So, you know, the thought process, we have so many cars that come up through our square every day. We don't capture that traffic. Well, one of the reasons is nobody knows what these stores do. So, you know, what we decided after talking with business owners was they weren't gonna invest for the operators. Operators sometimes don't have the money or, you know. And so we decided to do it for them. There's enough reasons to do it. So we're gonna target like a $500 limit. And it's only in the town square. And so we're picking one template. And what we told historic preservation is that, you know, we'll go with a one template. The background color could be black, white. The letters could be, If it's white, they could be black, or they could be gold, or, and if somebody wants to stray outside 2 or 3 options, then they can do their own thing and they can come before the commission. Certainly buy their own sign,
Okay.
nothing to stop them.
Are you saying that is on, because you have this on downtown district, are you saying the square is on, that's only the square though?
Only the square.
Yeah, so that's what I thought you wanted.
There isn't a downtown district yet.
There is. So the thing
I've
is,
already sat in court once today.
just making it easy
Wait till I have the video on.
for, approval process.
Yeah. Kind of a
kind
templated
of
sign
a-
that anybody can then
And
use,
if they go outside it, then
then they're on their own.
they're on their own,
Okay, you guys see a problem with that?
No.
That way?
Nope.
Nope, okay. Okay, we're good with that. No digital signs. Explain no digital sign.
When I am talking digital, I'm talking the need to prohibit flashing along 67. I think it's distracting, number one. We have enough distractions. We don't really need more distractions for drivers. And number two, it's just annoying.
Has somebody
Okay.
done that?
So,
What's that?
Is there a flashing digital sign yet on
I
67?
think there's one,
One?
Church.
yes.
well, okay, so here's where I'm gonna come now. Okay, Expo Center. They have an electronic signboard
Oh, they do?
They do,
promoting their events. Are you saying like that? No?
yes.
Okay,
It has to go to
They've got it
council.
on the annex
Okay.
too.
Council has to approve it. The council approves it, you're gonna have it.
they do. They have it on Annex, and then some of the gas stations have them inside their windows.
Yeah.
Promoting various different things.
Well, and they're,
So I'm just trying to make sure I understand what you're talking about.
well, and you know that's a digital sign on the pricing sign on these gas stations. That's digital. Okay, it's not.
Yes, some of them are.
There's a difference between that and like your Teletron that's out there. But the digital signs that are out there, any new ones have to go to city council.
We've had people, Larry, somebody told you recently, they wanted to do a new digital sign. Who was that?
I can tell you the nursery wants to do
Okay,
a digital sign that advertises their specials. And it would go above their name on a monument sign.
Well, I mean, you've got Dairy Queen with a digital sign. You have, I mean, so there's a lot out there. So
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that we understand what we're really trying to restrict, because I don't know that I find the Dairy Queen or the Expo Center signs, which I consider more bulletin boardy, digital, as annoying as,
if you put it in there, they can always come and get a variance.
They
okay,
just go to council for it.
Yeah.
And what we do now is we say that if you're gonna have it, you just come to city council, there's nothing special you have to do for that, right? You don't have to pay a special fee, you just have to get council's approval.
And I
Well,
mean,
a variance
honestly,
does require,
yeah, there is a
I have
variance.
to do a mailing,
How much is it?
$150, because I have to do a 200
That's
foot
what they need
radius.
to do. Now, I'm all okay with them doing it, because they're gonna set it
couldn't
back.
you put in the ordinance, or approved by building official?
Well, that's circumvents.
But I think-
Why don't
I
you do that
think-
so that?
Well,
you
I
don't
think
have
that
to
there
do
is
it?
also, there are certain I think the way you could also handle this, and not that we want another gas station, but from a gas station standpoint, we know that they have to have a digital sign to advertise their gas prices.
Yeah, they have to be able to change it.
So there's certain businesses that those digital signs are, what's the word I'm looking for?
Maybe there's a compromise. There's static signs, like the price, and then there's dynamic signs, which has motion in it.
Right,
And maybe it's the motion signs that have to come and get
I can get behind that one.
versus the static
Yeah.
signs.
True,
I can get behind
Yeah.
that.
I would agree with that. It's the blinking
Yeah,
and knowing
Yeah.
that, not.
okay,
Yeah, and we already have restrictions against that. mimicking a emergency vehicle being blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, that automatically in your rearview mirror looks like it's a police officer, you're trying to get out of the way.
They don't do that here.
And I think what we can do is we can work on the definition of the digital sign.
Yeah, right.
A static versus motion.
Yeah.
And I think we do have it, I just need, I'll check it.
Yep.
Make sure that
We allow
definition's
digital
right.
signs now, they're allowed in our ordinance.
They're
They have restrictions.
Alright, $10 permit fee for grand opening signs, what's up?
That was you thinking out loud, I think, but you were talking about that. Grand openings, we don't want, two things we don't want. Grand openings or closing out business sales.
Why do you not wanna-
Constantly.
Okay,
People tend to leave them up for a long time.
okay, so why wouldn't a grand opening sign fall as a temporary sign and they'd have 30
It can.
days?
I think we
They
can,
can.
Okay.
we can ditch that and just grand opening.
I'm just throwing it out there, cause I agree with you.
Just
I
put it
mean,
under the temporary, it just
Yeah,
makes sense. It
just-
simplifies things,
I
and
agree.
that's one of the categories of temporary
I agree.
signs. And you can't have serial temporary signs.
yeah, it's that gets that 30-day window to say, hey, we're open,
Yeah.
and then you're down, and
Yep,
you can't put it up again.
correct.
Till the next quarter.
No, you can't ever put a grand opening up again until the next business. I'm willing to say that.
Give the ribbon cutting 3 months after you open.
I actually think that there's a ribbon cutting getting ready to happen like 6 months after an
Yes, it
opening.
is.
Isn't
I think it's
pinstripes?
Thursday.
Who is
Yeah.
that? Who is that?
Pinstripes.
Pinstripes and.
I never got a
They're just
ribbon
now
cutting.
doing a ribbon cutting?
Snyder's
I saw
never got a
something.
ribbon cutting because it was during COVID and they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, that
You
seems kind
gonna
of
do it
long.
now?
Well, I think it probably
Well, they have a
links
soft
to
opening.
their
5 years
liquor
later.
license.
Um,
I'm sure
Okay,
it's probably connected to the fact that now they've got their
they did.
liquor license.
That came through for him.
Well, I don't know, but I'm assuming that's the connection.
Well, I know that they were waiting it out,
Right. But it was,
Fine, I will
Yeah,
take
it
my
was-
bottle of wine in.
When did they get their liquor license?
I'm assuming that's the connection.
All I'm saying, Troy, is that we have a couple of people that, we store a bottle of something for them under our bar.
Oh, wow. Okay, there you go.
It's the true meaning of private club.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So this is where I got confused when you put this up before city council, prohibiting pole signs in all districts. That isn't what we were trying to do, or is it what we're trying to do?
It is already in the ordinance.
And we're trying to remove it. We're saying pole signs are okay, or we're trying to say pole signs are not okay.
We're I think he found where it's in there, it's just not very clear,
Okay,
which is,
what are we trying to say from the
You
pole
gotta kind
signs?
of combine all this.
we're trying to restrict pole signs.
Okay,
Okay, this is your definition of pole signs. This is also another little definition that included pole sign in it. We want the pole sign and pylon signs not to be there.
okay.
We want them prohibited.
We want pole signs prohibited.
There's no need for that.
Again, they could get a variance.
Okay, so I'm curious. Because technically I have a pole sign that we put up.
Yep. Not
Because it was
pole sign.
It was in keeping with the architecture and the historical nature of our building. Why no pole signs?
Okay, pole signs were already, we didn't know that.
Well,
Brian just started doing it.
regardless of all that.
It was already
Yeah,
prohibited.
Regardless of all that, I'm just asking why do we wanna make sure pole signs are prohibited?
Okay,
Bushes, chicken.
it's not bushes, it's Chicken Express.
What is it?
Chicken Express.
Chicken Express, yeah.
We have several signs that, they're not necessary on our business corridor. If you drive down 67, your view is very good there. A lot of cities restricted to ground mount or monument signs. They do that for a reason. It makes it look cleaner, it looks neater, it's more inviting.
Mhm.
We don't have a need for
I
all
think
these
it
tall
gets to the
signs.
point, it's kind of like billboards, you know? When you drive along and you're in, what is it, Mississippi, and it's just one,
It's Houston.
another,
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
another, after another.
I
And I think because we're only 4 square miles, that's what we're gonna run into here.
so I think the Whataburger, Taco Bell,
Taco Bell was before I got
No,
here,
no, I-
Whataburger I approved, and I wanted a monument sign, and that's exactly what they're putting at McDonald's, is a monument sign.
okay,
It looks nice.
Starbucks,
Starbucks got a pole sign too, because we did not know that was in there, I held my ground on that.
okay,
Cause I
I
put a
got you.
monument sign here too.
I got you. I'm just thinking through.
Yeah.
I mean, Berkshire's is a pole sign.
I think, to me, the Bush's, I keep saying
Chicken
Bush's Chicken Express.
It's the height of it that's
It's
getting
the
you.
height of it.
It's the
not
height
just
of it.
there. Look at Exxon
And
Mobil.
their,
the tower of
It's
and
probably 40 foot tall.
their rationale for that was the hills. That they needed to be visible from the top. But we pointed out that that was ridiculous, that it didn't need to be that tall, but it is, yeah, but yeah.
Explain Exxon Mobil or Exxon
Although, yeah, those
Travel
were,
Plaza, that thing is way up there.
those were behind, before me. I
That's
wasn't
what I'm
around in
saying,
that
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe those people, we've theorized that people driving west, and stop at that light, see the sun, they could be seeing the Chicken Express sign.
That would explain the accident.
Did you
All
see
right.
Chicken Express?
Let's have the quick the quick mental exercise of, do you guys have a problem banning all future pole signs?
Well, I think there's some areas that maybe that's the only option they have.
And it could
They
be,
can get a variance,
they
right?
can get a variance.
They've been entitled to go. They can always appeal my decision. That's their right, anybody's right for any property.
And this is gonna be townwide. All 4 square miles, not just in one quarter or not, this is all 4
Correct.
square miles.
Yep.
There could come a scenario where a pole sign makes sense. That's when you would do it. But I can tell you, if you drive that 67 corridor, it is clear vision all the way up those sides. And they put their monument sign up there, they'll be fine.
Okay, so now I'm back to the fee, which again, 150 isn't that big of a deal.
Well,
for
it
someone
depends
doing-
on if it's residential or commercial.
Okay,
Commercial's a little more.
a little more. If the conclusion is that the only type of signage that would work was a pole sign, would we waive a fee?
I would guarantee you that a fee of like $150 or whatever is not gonna be a problem with people wanting to put up a pole sign.
Yeah, they're gonna spend
They're used to paying.
$5,000 and
guarantee
$6,000 and
Starbucks.
up for that pole sign.
Yeah, mine was
Starbucks
9,000.
locates
How much?
in
Mine was
any
9,000.
metropolitan area, it's gonna be
Yeah.
$150.
They saw you coming.
So how'd you arrive at 150?
Well,
And
it's
that's what's
different.
been
Oh,
on,
that's what.
That's our fee schedule. Is
I'm
that
just,
subject to
what's
change in
the
future?
logic
Yes.
behind 150?
It's the
Outside
cost of the postage and all that.
and that's not even gonna cover, I mean, it's gotta be set certified.
Yeah,
So depending on the area that you're sending to,
yeah,
you could be
much more than that.
losing.
And does that
Yeah,
Because it's
consider
costing you more.
admin time and overhead and all that?
Yeah,
Well,
there's
yes.
cost involved.
You have the publication, the
Publication.
newspaper,
we might wanna relook at some of those fees then.
Yeah, we
Yeah, I
do,
think so.
and
That's the
some,
next thing
and
we need to
often in planning and zoning, it's a losing proposition to
Yeah.
get fee.
Alright,
Well,
okay, let's stay back on track. Okay, pole signs. If it is the only kind of sign, they could come to city council, they can get the variance and they would be able to move forward. Okay. Problems with prohibiting pole signs,
nope,
okay?
Yep.
Alright,
as a general rule, yeah.
as a general rule, we will make sure that happens.
Yep.
Alright, changing the freestanding definition. A sign supported by structures, okay, so right now we have a sign not attached to a building, a freestanding sign, maybe either a pole, which we need to get rid of now, or a monument sign. So the new definition would be a sign supported by structures or supports in or on the ground and independent of any support from any building or wall. It also means any non-portable sign supported by a fence, retaining wall, or upright structural members or braces on or in the ground and not attached to a building. A freestanding sign can have one or two sides and can have messages on each. And I think that is pretty close to what we were putting in as the new definitions
I think
anyways.
that's where we got it.
Okay. There we go. A sign that is supported by structure or supports in or upon the ground. Yep, that is where you guys got it. So that is what we were gonna go with anyways, in all of our other dialogues, so. Are you guys good with that definition change?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I will take my notes and Troy, get my notes organized for you so that you have something that you can take to council.
Yeah.
Yes.
Without our recommendation, because we can't vote on it, but that we can at least state we had discussion.
Okay.
Does that work for you?
Yes.
Okay,
And the reason that we're doing it this way is we've gotten into these ordinance changes.
they're hard.
It's a monumental task.
Yeah.
And we just don't have the bandwidth right now. So really what needs to happen is we need to put it in our budget for next year. That we hire an outside company and they come in and they go through everything, because as we have Veronica getting into this, I mean, it was taking weeks.
Yeah.
You know, because you're going back, you find something that's referenced in, you know, a special use permit or, you know, for
So I
completely different.
as promised, I have been working through the sign stuff.
Yeah.
And so we will have a document, a clean sign ordinance for your review here in the next week or so that then we can bring it to here.
Okay.
And it removes everything
Great.
from all the other places.
Great.
So we are working.
Yeah.
All right, the next conversation that we need to have is about schedule of uses. For well, right now we said the square. Or you call this one the central business district. The downtown business district. So we want to be fair to, you know, all businesses coming in, and yet when you walk around the square right now, you have, and I actually did the math, so you've got Paisley Reese, Tracks and Time, you then got Willa, then you go round the corner and Shoe Fly has clothing, and then you go on up and you've got MJ's, and then you come around the corner to what was Sugar
Philomena's.
Biscuit to Philomena's, and then you've got Love and Amen now. And then you go around the corner to where Auto Parts was, and now that's clothing, and you go over down the other direction, you've got LT&K, you've got
Where Crave was.
right, well, and you got the new general store that has clothing in it. And so, but it's all women's. It's gifty items and women's clothes. And I can't prove that there's a lot of duplication in each store. There's a lot of duplication in each store. And so that's not very appealing to the wider audiences that we want to serve. So Troy talked to the attorney, and the attorney came back and said, well, just you have to put everything under special use for that entire district. And that's not appealing to businesses either. So I promised Troy that I would get my thinking cap on. And sometimes my thinking cap is better on some days than other days. But when we look at our schedule of uses, we break down garment versus photograph versus this. We can break that down further and literally say women's clothing and put that under SUP, and then put men's clothing and take the SUP off, or we can define by business type that if we feel we've got too much of it in one zone, we can put that under an SUP just so we can control it a little bit better, but leave outside of SUPs the businesses that we actually do want to appeal to on the square.
How many SUPs do we have if everybody came in tomorrow? 20?
Probably about 25, 30. Doesn't seem like a lot,
No, it would be,
but it would be.
yeah.
And more importantly, as you're trying to attract a business and all of a sudden you put up the hammer that says, well, you can't be in this area of town without an SUP, why would they want to come to that area of town?
You're gonna have them leave.
Yeah,
Well, you
so
can get an oversaturation of any type of business, if you see.
you can.
Yeah, you go downtown, you see a lot of cities get hit up a lot by the payday loan places
Right.
and all that.
Well, this goes back to the
It's actually-
conversation that we had when the liquor stores, when we were doing all the work around the liquor stores, and I said I wanted to put a distance between them so that we couldn't have a liquor store upon a liquor store, and
Did you do that?
no, we did not.
We had the opportunity, one tried to come in and put a liquor store right where no liquor store is going next door.
Yeah, no, we wanted to do that.
So-
Let me rephrase that. I wanted to do that.
Oversaturation, that's what I said, we don't.
I wanted to put a distance between a store type, and it did not move forward. It did not happen.
Well, and that's what I want.
So,
And so,
Still wanna do that?
Stan felt like this would be better,
right.
that you just, do
So
it by uses and stuff.
So if we look, so going around that road and saying, okay, because if we say, okay, it's 150 feet between women's clothing stores, or it's a mile between women's clothing stores or something, well, what's the mile? And it gets icky.
Who does most shopping, the men or the women?
It's not necessarily that the men's clothing stores, I'm saying that's
Other kinds
one.
of stores, yeah.
Most men don't because their wife wants to go.
Well, what's happening is that spaces that could be art galleries, spaces that could be restaurants are being eaten up
Yeah.
by women's clothing stores.
I was just wondering,
And-
you had people wanting to come in and regardless of what they're trying to put in down there in the way of a whatnot store or antique store or whatever.
Well, we
They
want
have
diversity.
clothing or
You
whatever.
do want diversity. It's not just because, look, I'm a woman. I don't walk into every single women's clothing store. I would kill myself if I had to do that. There is,
Well, we don't call it downtown district now, we call it the women's clothes district.
So
Yeah.
let's look at a good, Heiko's a good example of variety.
we
And
need the
upscale.
ability to have diversity. Diversity of the shops on the square.
Yeah.
That's the
You
goal,
want a broad audience,
right?
because it's not gonna always be, women shoppers, or, why would a guy wanna come down here, with somebody, right? So your wife wants to go shopping, what would bring?
Well, I can tell you, I can't tell you how many guys have come into the hotel and have said, hey, I forgot to pack. And we're like, yeah,
That's why you
you
have that.
you don't have that. We don't have that here. Yeah,
I think the new clothing
A general store.
policy that's coming in, I think they are going to have men's.
okay. But the point of the matter is trying to provide in a very, we talk about a 4 square mile town. Now you're talking about a 40-foot square area, 100 square feet of area that we do not have diversity of shops to attract people who aren't clothing shoppers.
We should
And
have a
that's what we're
Robert
looking
Summers.
at. It's not really
shop.
about it that it's a woman's store. It's that there's not a
Why not?
diversity.
Yeah.
furniture store.
We should have a dinosaur shop, a Robert Summers shop.
Yeah, it's just that there's not diversity. And so finding
And
a
leather
way to
goods
put that
shop.
in
We
to,
do have
can,
another Smith on us. on
we
here.
do. It's next to Country Peddler.
Really?
He's just got a little tiny shop that he works in all the time.
Where is this?
He's across the street from Mr. Green, where Mr. Green's shop used to be.
I mean, hey, we just need some diversity just
So,
because a Western store, an outdoor store,
right,
We had one and it went out of business.
I
They
know.
left.
or
And-
didn't
and
go out
that-
of business,
look,
they left.
They left.
They left.
But we've had a lot of women's stores that haven't made it.
Well,
So,
and there's
we've
more
had
coming.
restaurants that haven't made it, so
That's the nature of
So-
the business.
it is.
well, it is, but at the same time, encouraging diversity is
Right.
what we want to do in the ordinance. We want to encourage diversity. We want to encourage unique opportunities of experiences for the people on the square. And that's the goal. And so how we do that, through legal means is we either put some limitations on the number of a single business type within a zone, or we put everything under an SUP, or we look at the realisticness of what is the most likely to be repetitive, put those under SUPs, and leave everything else out. And then if it becomes, if we end up with 15 furniture shops, then we have to revisit that again.
And I will tell you, and William, I'll give you a great example. My previous place that I lived, we had a Randall's grocery store, right? And so the problem with grocery anchored retail is they hire a real estate rental salesperson to rent the space. Now, these are commission oriented guys, right, and gals, and they don't care if there's 4 nail salons right in a row. And so that's why you will go by and, in these anchored shopping centers, and you will see multiple haircut places, multiple nail salon places. And
Unless it's individually owned.
because that person's motivation is
Commissions.
commissions. I don't care who rents it,
I
but
just need it rented.
if you do complementary uses, then you get a broader range of customers. You get the person that's going shopping at the grocery store, and there's 2 other stores they may go into, and because if you don't, that's where you start to see the holes start to appear. And these places go out of business. And once a place goes out of business, then there's kind of a stigma associated to it, right? So I don't know. I think it's much better, and I'll give you a great example here of a building that's being renovated. The 2 uses, women's boutique and a steakhouse. And I'm telling you, there's a big difference to me as to what we really need and want. We've got enough of one. We don't have enough of the other.
Right.
It's just, again, capturing those cars, hundreds a day.
So what if
What's gonna
communities like Alexandria, Virginia, Holland, Michigan,
They limit,
right, that's what I'm saying.
they
So-
limit. I
so
looked
they-
it all up.
Yeah, they limit these places to curate the kind of
Right.
city, community feel that they want.
Are they limited by numbers? Or what they're doing?
I'll go, it's been a while since I looked at Alexandria.
No, I'm familiar with
Yeah.
Holland a little bit, but
Yeah.
I wasn't, South Haven more familiar.
Well, downtown Greenville, South Carolina, ooh, it's incredible.
But I guess where I'm
Riverwalk and
going
all
with
that.
this, in the past, we've never had an issue of what we're talking about here in Glen Rose. We've never had that issue. The issue we've had is to getting people to come to Glen Rose and avoid business to begin with.
Yeah.
I have seen it when it was here, and I've seen it when it went away. and when it was blank down there. So that's my deal. I'm not, my mind's not
Yeah.
thinking about you're gonna have too many dress shops or too many of anything. It's just getting somebody, the retail merchants or the people that own the buildings, getting a tenant in to lease it to them or something else. So I'm having to wrap my head around what you're thinking about here. We're gonna limit to what we have here, and I'm thinking, we ain't got that.
Well, I think there's a
about it
new,
this way. Think about it this way. You know, what we currently have, and I've talked to owners and I've talked to shopkeepers, right? And so the shopkeeper, and I've heard it multiple times, you know, they're not just making huge amounts of money, right? So we talk about signage or we talk about upkeep of buildings, which we want, right? As a town, they don't have the money to do it. Well, then you go to the owner, and what you found from the owner is that because the shopkeeper isn't doing that well, that $600 a month is all they can afford, which is nice that they take that into consideration. But you know what that also means? They're not gonna spend any money on upkeep of the building or on signs or whatever. And that's why we have so many in disrepair, because none of them are making enough money.
Right.
Now there's a lot of things that go into that, you know, but I think part of it is that we, you know, you can look at and I'm a geek, I'm sorry, but I go to other towns and hang out at their town squares. I take pictures, you look at my phone, it's not a family, it's a little downtown squares where there's a group of people gathered and I'm taking their picture. Well, I don't see that here. You know, why not? We have all these cars go right through there. We're not capturing. So I think that's the real question that we have to answer. We have 1 million cars and we're not getting them to stop. Why?
I think another new factor is that we're a growth area. People are moving down. We have shortage of housing.
Yep.
So there's going to be demand. And the fact that Starbucks put something like that in here.
Most people has to have a destination to begin with, so
Yeah.
you gotta have something to get them there.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
Well-
downtown, I think Troy sees that as a destination. The corridor is more of a thoroughfare where we see sales happening differently than what happens downtown. What he wants to do is vitalize downtown, get it exciting so people come here.
See, and I guess I'm still thinking 50 years ago. I'm thinking downtown, the local people has to support that because we bought clothes, shoes, hats, whatever. I mean, school clothes, whatever. We bought it right here.
Yeah, but you can't buy shoes in this town
I
right now.
understand that, but you know the reason why, don't you?
You got Amazon.
There was one or two reasons. He knows why. You had started off with Kmart's, Gibson's,
You're right.
Walmart's.
You're right.
You know, it wasn't as easy 50 years ago to drive to Granbury or Fort Worth as it is now.
You're right. And I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
You know,
Yeah,
that still doesn't answer the question.
I think there's a lot of things, William, that go into it. I mean, if you know, we had the conversation recently during our council meeting, and it was, okay, you look at our sales tax for the year, right? So we were right at 2 million last year. We should be probably 2.2 million this year, you know, and my question is, have we hit our ceiling? We're 4 square miles. Unless we start annexing some areas that offer opportunities, we may be there.
Yeah.
I look at the square as found money, you know, because it doesn't contribute a lot today.
No.
But it could.
And I would dearly love for it to
It
be
could.
what it used to be. But
Well, and that's, you know, there's a lot of factors that go into it.
Yeah.
For instance, and we're gonna see the example, because Friday Grumps opens, you know, they're having a guest type thing.
Yeah, Thursday and Friday.
And so here's the difference. We have a burger place here, we have a burger place there. But that burger's gonna be $5 starting. This burger's 12. And I mean, some of what we see in our town square is businesses don't have enough traffic to lower the prices. So they have to charge more, right? You're not getting as many customers, you need them to pay more. But you're not getting more customers because you are.
That's what happened to them to begin with, you know? They
Chicken
couldn't
and
stay
egg, it's a
busy.
chicken and egg, yeah.
So
Well,
if we
that's
drive
where-
more customers, hopefully they can lower the price of that burger to $9, or maybe it needs to be.
so one of the things that Holland had in Greenville is they had public-private partnerships. They had business patriots that helped revitalize some of the infrastructure, invest in the town. We're not going to get there unless there's some source of capital
Yeah.
to help invest
Yeah,
in upgrades, in attracting.
Well, this one's
My
already working
question-
on some of that.
But yeah, everybody I talked to about this, it's the I word, the incentives is how you get this to drive these people in there, whether it be, economic development group pays half the rent for the first 12 months or whatever it is to get them in here. I'd love to have a boot maker here or a
Oh, yeah,
hat
yeah,
maker.
yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
amazing. What can of worms are we about to open if we start defining what's a woman's boutique and who audits that? Is it over 50% of their sales is women's clothing? I don't know. Who's going to define what a women's boutique is? Who's going to define what a women's clothing store is? Love Amen sells tea. All of a sudden, I guarantee you, say, hey, you're a women's boutique, and it benefits them because, no, we sell more tea than we do clothes. And
Well,
I just
that's
know that
why
from
I
working
actually
in
think-
malls to where
Yeah,
when it's a percentage rent, those people, all of a sudden, they make a lot less money when they come out every year. Well, nobody's going to audit.
well, you could
county.
define it like TABC does with alcohol.
Yeah,
That's
that's what
what's a
I'm
restaurant
So-
versus a
But
bar.
who's going to manage?
So if I'm hearing so one way to, instead of putting everything special use, one could be incentives for certain kinds of businesses
Mhm.
and,
But
Yeah.
here's the thing, Rick, let's be realistic. I'm coming in, I'm gonna open a business here and I'm thinking women's boutique. And all of a sudden I hear, city bars that can't do it. Do I wanna fight that? And you can fight City Hall. Great. 4 years from now, you'll get if you win.
Right.
You'll get what you want. Is that what they want to do? And it isn't that that's the purpose, right? The purpose again is to try to make it a destination that you have complementary uses so that maybe you don't. And honestly, think about it from their point of view, the ones that are here first, do they want 1 million women's boutiques that all offer the same thing? Do they have a better chance of doing better if it's regulated a little bit? I think so.
No, I'm with you 100%. I love the diversity. What about Feast? How would you classify that?
About what?
Feast.
A women's boutique.
Would you? But it says dinner.
It sells a lot of other stuff.
yeah, I'm not sure that
Chips.
I would have put Feast as a clothing store.
Yeah, it sells a lot of other stuff.
Obviously.
well, so,
You're the person Bill's talking about. Your wife has to drag you in there. She hadn't done.
well, so Greg, so brings up a good point on decisions with unintended consequences. It's not clear, cut and dry, but you can direct incentives towards certain kinds of.
And again, you can ask for a variance. So if you can make your case that, okay, I do sell women's clothes, but I also am very, diversified in a product offering, then, council can make that decision.
But couldn't you get there differently by saying, we want to incent people that focus on certain kinds of things that we need?
You could, absolutely. There's a follow the herd in retail. Absolutely.
Right. That's why you
So-
see car distributors all in the line.
Absolutely. You get one, guess what? You're gonna have 4 or 5. Often the same owner.
Right now, it's big shops.
So to me, but the ones you want have the ability, if they're diversified, they can go get council approval. But I think it keeps the store after store after store after store after store after store, you know. Everything in the square is one category. And I think
Well, there's
that's
a title
problem.
company.
Excuse me?
There's a title company.
An attorney.
And there's an attorney.
No, it can't be an attorney because we don't allow them
But
to
there's
sit
a
on the ground floor.
dojo too.
One time we had 4
He was
grocery
in before
stores,
we, that
on the
got
square.
done.
4. There was one over there was one over here by the Abernathy building, there was one over here on the other side of where the annex is. And then there was Red and White down there, there was
Yeah.
4, and they was all doing a good business. 2 of them were doing real good businesses, and then David's put one in right here on this corner. You know what happened to the rest of them?
They left.
They went out,
Yeah.
all of them went out. And then Brookshire's put it, well, it was level C out there, and then it changed to Brookshire's.
They're all by the same family.
Yeah,
And they hate each other.
Yeah.
but there was 3 thriving businesses on the square,
So,
and it just took one competition and it leveled the field.
okay, so I'm gonna throw something out that you always tell me. Because I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Don't park in that space.
That is
No, I
not
can't.
what you told me. Rising tide. When I said we need to stop attracting restaurants, you said, what?
You're wrong.
Thank you.
Because the one thing any economic development person would tell you that you want too much of is restaurants. Now, you don't necessarily need 4 burger places all in a tight geographical area, because they're not gonna make it. And again, we're gonna see that here. There's gonna be pressure on
DB&Bs.
Well, we got one up there on the highway, I don't know how to stay in business now.
a burger place.
The Burger King.
Yeah,
Yeah, Burger King, I'm not sure how.
I don't know how they stay there.
And then
There's
there's,
talk.
there's the
and it's
sub
gonna
place
shut
that's a
down.
burger place too.
You can go by there and there'll be 5 cars everywhere else, and there'll be 1 car over there.
Yeah, no, so, but my point was, you've always said, well, rising tides rides all ships. So that's your comment to me a lot when I've said, hey, we need to rethink this. And so I'm just putting that and saying, I'm just the devil's advocate. I'm just putting that same comment when it comes to how do we regulate the square. I've already said, I want diversity on the square.
Yeah.
We gotta find the way to get the diversity. Because I do believe that we have too many like things that don't attract a
You know,
large
The
population.
funny thing is, and what we have done, I had somebody in my office the other day, and you all know who he is, but, and he said, well, do you want the town to grow? Because I'm not sure the town wants to grow. And I said, if you were a person that didn't want the town to grow, just love me. Because what we've done in the last 6 months gives us the ability to restrict the type of business that we want, or the ones that we don't want, or the types of residential that
Right,
we don't want. So, but I'm telling you, you won't find anybody more pro good growth than me. Because, I don't look at 67 here and think that's good growth. It's a free for all, right?
Right.
There's no kind of organization, we have business tucked behind other businesses.
no, it's ridiculous.
And there's no rhyme or reason. And there was nothing to stop anybody. You know what I mean?
So coming back to the topic,
Yes.
just so that we don't rabbit hole too much. Does does this general group agree that putting something in place that enforces some diversity of the types of shops on the square makes sense?
I would prefer an
Encourage.
incentive.
I didn't say,
approach.
I didn't say how we were gonna do it. I just said, do you agree that something that encourages diversity?
There you go.
Encourages, not enforces,
Yeah.
Encourages diversity.
Yes.
Are we in favor of that?
Yes,
Yes.
100%.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't have a problem with encouraging, I just have a problem with limiting.
Okay, okay.
I mean, customers that they're bringing in, that are buying stuff or not buying stuff, it's gonna
Okay,
depend on what.
So-
Business or not.
so the goal that we have to find the legal ability to do is how to encourage the diversity that we're seeking.
Mhm.
That's what you would like us to look at. That was what you would like us to look at.
Yep.
You don't mind the encouraging,
Entitlements.
No, I
Okay.
think encouragement is good.
okay,
If we can hire a dinosaur or something to stand out here.
We had one on the square, somebody took it
I
away.
respectfully disagree.
I-
And I will tell you, the proof is out there looking at it. I
I'm
mean,
going
if you're
to,
looking, the proof is,
okay,
the story is right there. And if you're thinking that it should be, 10,000 stores all the same thing, or the whole square should be full of them, what you're gonna see is they're gonna go out of business.
fast.
You're gonna see, what you talked about is, that's what's coming. It just is, I've talked to them all. Why do you think they don't? It's a sign on the facade of the building, it's $500. They don't have the money. They don't have the money.
So
That's your answer.
I believe that if I present 3 or 4 different ways to achieve the diversity by our next meeting, we can narrow down the way we want to go. Does that sound fair?
That's good. Yep.
And I do believe incentives are,
Well, and
that
a viable
is
way,
a viable way to
A
get
viable
what
way.
you want.
right?
The problem is with that is, I can offer incentives to the user all I want. But the building owner is gonna be the one that makes the decision.
Right.
And do we wanna incentivize the building owner? I mean, look, I had a deal to bring somebody in before Grumps ever came, and they would have been on the square, and it would have been perfect and very complimentary even to Green Pickle, because it was a exotic kind of burger, and there's one in Bluffdale. That narrows it down anymore, but, and it just didn't work because couldn't strike a deal. And therein lies the issue. I can incentivize the user, but that's not gonna cut the deal with the owner.
No, we gotta get the building owner.
You know what I mean?
So that's why there's gotta be, I'm gonna present a couple of different ideas with conversations. Troy
Yes.
and I will come up with some ideas and then we'll present 4. There might be a little combination of incentive and limitations, but we'll come up with something that we all can kind of say, that's going to achieve the goal, which is the goal being diversification.
Yeah, because there's not near enough people just going after the same dollar.
True.
You know what the big advantage was on the square back in those days?
There wasn't a 67.
No, there was a 67, but there wasn't anything to speak of up there. It was a little book where they put your name down and they wrote down what you got, and you didn't pay until the end of the month.
That's
That
called
was
a
the
credit card
incentive.
nowadays.
Yeah, and so, Mark,
before they
they
made
had a
credit
book,
cards.
everybody had
Yeah.
a book and had their customers.
Yeah.
And that was the big incentive.
All right.
That was
But you know-
before credit cards.
I would also say this, and, people tell me all the time, my old roommate, Chris Holzhausen was in, he's from here, he's my college roommate. So we drove around the square, showed him what was going on today, and he told me what used to be there. And I've heard these kind of things before. But there's been a lot of businesses come and go.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes back to what I'm saying, we're not capturing enough of it. We have so many cars, not just trucks. So many cars coming 144 every single day, and they're not stopping. So honestly, maybe we need to put more speed bumps and stop signs right inside the town square
We've been trying to get traffic lights.
Traffic stops.
and slow them down.
Yeah, that's never happened. We've already been told.
You trying to get us all in trouble.
That Tech Talk was really clear about that one because we don't have the space for things.
But people had different ways of doing things back then.
They
It
did.
didn't work
And
until bigger franchise companies came along and wiped them out.
so,
Well, and it's funny because I go before the hysterical commission, as I call them a lot, and
Everybody else.
we look at historical buildings and we look at these pictures from the 1800s, and man, these signs they take up
Huge.
the whole facade of the front, right?
yeah,
And that's all it is in a row is signs. And yet we struggle today with, well, we want it to be like it was back then, but not just like it was.
We wanted 1850 without the measles and polio, please.
That's right.
Yeah. And the
Nobody
Civil
wants
War.
to get block us anymore.
all right, so with those workshop items discussed and actions taken, planned to be taken, if there's no further business before the commission, then I adjourn us at 6:46.
Okay, good. This is good. I learned some stuff. I like
Now,